Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be reacting to
why the Balkans hate each other. And honestly, this looks like our setting, kind of, our character.
yeah.
It's interesting. Okay.
The Balkans. When it comes to the Balkans, it is no secret that the region is famous for its ostentatious relations between its neighbors. No matter what country you point on a map, at least one country from the region is bound to hate it. Thus, with a region so jam-packed with history and lore, it might be a bit difficult for a feeble Western mind to understand why the people from village of Bumblefrick Nowhere hate the people of Wolf Nowhere. Thus, in an effort to make the world a worse place, I feel that it is my solemn duty to share our secrets in the hopes that you too, dear viewer, can engage in proper Balkan intellectualism of the highest order. So without further ado, let's begin.
You like this stuff?
Now, the beef between Romania and Hungary
A little exaggerated.
I know.
Yeah, a little, but it's funny too.
is a bit one of the more milder ones out there, as it can basically be summed up.
You know how I feel about watching like Borat, like
Right.
secondhand embarrassment? Sometimes I'm watching this, I feel secondhand embarrassment.
Up as two kids on the playground screaming at each other, saying that their dad can beat up the others.
Well, I bet my dad can beat up your dad. Yeah, well, I bet my dad can beat up your dad.
Do you know this cartoon?
Dexter Laboratory.
Most of the hatred comes from this piece of land, Transylvania, as essentially both countries argue continuously on who was there first, and then accuse the others of stealing their rightful claim and V-Bucks. Other than that, the beef also comes from several wars fought between the two countries. In the 19th century, many Romanians rose up in rebellion against Hungary during the Hungarians' freedom fight against the Habsburgs in their revolution. Later on in the 20th century, during World War I, Romania invaded Hungary in several occasions, trying to take Transylvania, which they did with the Treaty of Trianon, as someone in the comments is writing a 7-page essay about it.
Mit mondanak az a szó, hogy Trianon?
Ó, nem tudom.
And when Hungary tried to invade them to take it back, the Romanians marched their way all the way to Budapest and filled their pockets with lovely knickknacks found in the city's National Museum and took it all the way back to Romania.
This is a
Besides that,
controversy. Honestly, the song is controversial because there's two people who say who did it. I'm
Accused
curious.
each other of oppression. The Romanians argued that the Hungarians were oppressing the Romanians in the Kingdom of Hungary, and the Hungarians argued that today Romania is oppressing the Hungarian diaspora within Romania, and mostly centered in Transylvania. After the 1920s, they haven't fought a single war against each other. Moreover, they were able to be in the same faction on 2 separate occasions. So, all in all, it's nothing to worry about, just a bit of banter. Now, if there exists a conflict in the world where no one cares or gives two about except for the two parties involved, then that would be the conflict between Macedonia and Bulgaria. Basically, it's as if two SJWs are constantly arguing with one another, accusing the other of cultural appropriation. Bulgarians claim that the North Macedonians are actually Bulgarians brainwashed by evil Serbs, hi by the way, who made them think that they are a different ethnicity and rebel against the glorious motherland of Bulgaria. While Macedonia denounces the idea completely and claims that they're their own separate people group who originated from the ancient Macedonians and intermingled with the local Slavs, and that they actually were the ones who then created Bulgaria and their culture. So you can kind of see what the problem is. Both argue over the ethnicity of famous historical figures, such as revolutionary Goce Delchev and Clement of Ohrid, even though we all know they were clearly Hungarian.
It's interesting. I don't know about like none of these beefs. Well, it's only on the second beef, but I don't know about this. But I always thought Macedonia, you know, in the historic kind of how he described it in the historic sense that, you know, so that's interesting.
Nevertheless, both claim them as their own. Bulgaria claims that they cannot be Macedonian, as practically before the 19th century no one in Macedonia called themselves Macedonian, but rather everybody thought of themselves as Bulgarian. However, Macedonia claims that it is simply fake news, and that they are Macedonian because they were born there.
i prevedeno na Hindu. Bijeli Makedonija. Majka na svijeta je Makedonija.
Then Bulgaria decided to block them on EU accession, and Macedonia decided to beat up Bulgarian
I would like
tourists.
to see about the Baltics. Does he have a
Why the Baltics hate each other?
I think they like each other.
Yeah, I think Baltics like each other. I don't think the Baltics hate
Yeah.
each other. I don't think there's no hate with other Baltic countries. No, I think we like each other.
And the cycle continues.
But you have to keep in mind the history, though. In the Balkans, there was a war. With Yugoslavia, they kind of like were fighting each other. For us, we always fought alongside of each other. Like against Russia. When it was time to succeed from the Soviet Union. So, yeah, I think there's some unity that in that unity, kind of made us like each other. Versus, here there's different history. They weren't really united.
You know what will never block you from joining the EU? My merchandise. High quality material and designs that allow you to represent the love of your favorite countries. Go ahead and get one for yourself. Or hell, get all four for your entire family. So go ahead and hurry to the
Turkey is not really in the Balkans, though, but we do know about the conflict.
Okay.
No, they just talk about the Balkan Peninsula.
Comes to the conflict between
Well,
Greece
at least the idea of the video is.
and Turkey. It is approximately the same conflict between any Balkan country and Turkey. Prior to the Turks coming to Anatolia, the Greeks existed as the powerful Byzantine Empire. However, after a couple of years of funny language-speaking horsemen riding through their empire, soon their country ceased to exist, and it got replaced by an Islamic empire run by the same funny language-speaking horsemen that rode through it a couple of years previously.
See what this bitch?
Who then on went to oppress, assimilate, and displace the local Greeks for the next 500 years. After the Greeks were able to gain their independence once more, the two fought several wars within the 19th and 20th century, where they ethnically cleansed each other's populations by forcing them to take swimming lessons within the Aegean. In more recent times, the two have been fighting over the sea and who owns it. Greece controls most of the islands within the Aegean, and with that, most of the sea. However, Turkey would like to be able to swim and extract oil without having to pay Greece to do so. So now they're constantly at each other's throats, even though on paper they're basically allies, as they're both members of NATO.
So it's about the oil. Interesting. Okay.
You know what they say, brothers and sisters are natural enemies, like Croats and Serbs, or Bosniaks and Serbs, or Albanians and Serbs.
Madam Banja, qërsho motrë, ka Serbian gjithë.
Or Serbs and Serbs. Goddamn Serbs. They ruined Serbia. Now, if there's a country in the Balkans that arguably has the most beef in it, then that would be Serbia. Now, to sum up most of the conflicts regarding Serbia, they and some people group that they were in the country with had a civil war, started using the Geneva Convention as toilet paper. However, Serbia starts getting explosive diarrhea while the other party had somewhat enough fiber in their stool. One thing leads to another, and suddenly everyone denies that they ever had the shit in the first place. Thus, the beef between the Serbs, Croats, and Bosniaks can be summed up like that. When it comes to the conflict between the Serbs and Albanians, there is a little bit extra. Primarily, they fight over this place, Kosovo. And much like Hungary and Romania, they both argued that they were there first, and therefore they are the rightful owners of the place. The Albanians claimed that in ancient times, the ancient Illyrian kingdom of Dardania used to exist here, and as they are the descendants of the Illyrians, they are the rightful owners of Kosovo. Meanwhile, the Serbs argued that they were the first, and that they built their medieval kingdom of Serbia from Kosovo, and they say that it cannot be the Albanians, as they were not mentioned as a people group up until the 13th century. Throughout history, they also constantly had skirmishes against one another as they backed different sides in wars. The Albanians were usually backing the Ottomans, meanwhile the Serbs were usually backing the Habsburgs. In the 90s, much like the other republics, there was a war, people got displaced, Serbia bars Kosovo from joining the UN and other international organizations, and both sides are claiming that the other is oppressing their people. So, just regular Balkan stuff. And yeah, those would be the major beefs between the Balkan countries. Of course, there are numerous other ones which are smaller in size, and if you like this video and would like to hear more about them...
Alright, interesting. Yeah, so I kind of like that he went into the more unknown, because I really thought it would be like, Serbia versus Croatia. That type, because we kind of knew that already, because we watched the video about the war.
Yeah.
But he barely touched on that. He kind of just, brushed, oh yeah, it did happen, whatever. But he actually went into a little more random beefs, which
unexpected.
I didn't even know existed, so this was interesting to see.
Guys, of course, let us know your thoughts. So free to like, comment, and subscribe. Join the Discord, and as always, share as much kindness as possible.